Imagine for a second the entire mind of Leonardo da Vinci. Every single sketch, every invention, every wild scientific theory, all of it bound in leather notebooks. Now imagine that incredible library, probably the greatest treasure of human genius ever assembled, being torn apart and just scattered to the winds. Well, that's exactly what happened. This is a story of that great dispersal, a 500-year-old puzzle of what was lost and what has, against all odds, been found. So where does our story begin? Not in some dusty Renaissance workshop, but somewhere much more modern. A place where history gets a very specific price tag. A Christie's auction house in New York City. And this is the number that just blows the whole story wide open. $30.8 million. Let that sink in for a moment. That's the price Bill Gates paid back in 1994 for a single 72-page notebook from Leonardo. It instantly became the most expensive manuscript ever sold, a record it held for decades. So you have to ask, right? Why? What on earth makes a single 500-year-old notebook worth that much money? Well, the answer isn't just about what's inside those 72 pages. It's about the tens of thousands of pages that were lost. To really get it, we have to rewind the clock about 500 years. We need to understand the sheer scale of what Leonardo created. This wasn't just a few personal diaries. It was a library of genius. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of pages. And here's the kicker. Scholars today believe that the thousands of pages we do have, scattered all over the world, probably only represent about 40% of what he actually wrote. The rest of it, it's just gone. Lost, forgotten, maybe even destroyed forever. And just look at the stuff he was writing about. It's mind-boggling. He's designing flying machines and weapons of war. He's dissecting human bodies to understand anatomy. He's studying the flow of water, geology, the stars, designing musical instruments. His notebooks weren't just journals. They were an entire universe of ideas. Okay, before we go any further, please remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Share and like our videos. The information in the video is compiled from open sources. Thank you. So you have this incredible collection, this archive of a truly universal mind. It should have been one of humanity's greatest, most protected treasures. Instead, after Leonardo died, it was tragically dismantled. And this is how it all fell apart. It all started with a simple, heartbreaking tragedy of neglect. For 50 years after Leonardo's death, his loyal student Francesco Melzi guarded the collection with his life. But when Melzi died, his heirs, well, they had no clue what they had. His own son, Orazio, started giving pages away like they were party favors. The indifference was just staggering. When a visitor expressed some concern about this, Orazio Melzi apparently just shrugged and said there were plenty more drawings just lying uncared for in the attics. Can you imagine? He was literally giving away the mind of Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, now enter a sculptor named Pompeo Leoni. He got his hands on a huge chunk of the manuscripts, and he had good intentions. He wanted to organize them. But his method, oh, it was a catastrophe for history. He took out a pair of scissors, cut pages from their original notebooks, and then repasted them into these giant new albums based on what he thought the subject was. He created massive new collections, sure, but in the process, he completely destroyed Leonardo's original train of thought forever. So between the Melzi family's carelessness and Leoni's, let's call it, creative reorganization, a centuries-long global treasure hunt kicked off. Leonardo's genius, once contained in a single library, was now scattered all across Europe. And these pages really traveled. Napoleon's armies took some of them to Paris, and not all of them came back. Others found their way into the royal collections in England and Spain. Suddenly, Leonardo's library wasn't a library anymore. It was a massive continental puzzle with the pieces in dozens of different hands. And if you look today, you can see where the biggest pieces landed. You've got the huge Codex Atlanticus in Milan, the Codex Arundel in London, other big chunks in Paris and Madrid. But then look at that last one on the list, the Codex Leicester. It's the only major manuscript that's still in private hands. And that brings us right back to where we started, that record-breaking auction. The modern life of the Codex Leicester is a pretty incredible story all on its own, a journey that takes it from ancient paper to digital pixels. Even the notebook's name tells a story. For over 260 years, it was known as the Codex Leicester. Then, in 1980, the industrialist Arm& Hammer bought it and renamed it the Codex Hammer. But when Bill Gates got it in 1994, he did something really significant. He changed the name back, honoring its long history. But Gates did way more than just change the name. He had every single one of its 72 pages scanned in an incredibly high resolution. He turned these physical pages into digital files, and he even distributed them on CD-ROMs with Windows 95, creating an interactive tool called the Code Scope that let anyone anywhere explore Leonardo's famous mirror writing, see translations, and really dig into his diagrams. And all of this leaves us with one last massive question. The great tragedy here was the physical dismantling of Leonardo's library. But now, with digitization, are we finally on the verge of being able to piece that incredible mind back together again? Maybe the next chapter in this 500-year-old story won't be written on paper at all, but in pixels.